Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Get Up. My name is Scott Pullen. I'll be your host. I'm the Regional PT Manager for the Southeast and Midwest for Crunch Franchise. And what we're going to be focusing on in this first of a three-part series is sort of resetting the body's posture and balance. And what I mean by that is the fact that probably over the last few weeks, if not even longer for many of us, we've found ourselves sitting a lot more than we typically do, in different postures, different pieces of furniture than a good ergonomically designed office chair. I know I've been going through that because I've been working off of my kitchen counter, sitting in a stool that works at our island, and it might be fun for an hour or so when we're having a party, but 8-hour day on that thing, it's freaking killing me. Poor position, poor posture, pattern overload where we do the same thing over and over has effects on the body. Nothing goes unpunished, if you will, within the human body. And there's an old saying that as the twig is bent, so grows the tree. What do I mean by that? Well, most people, when they're in a seated posture for prolonged periods of time, they don't really maintain very good postural positions, and they find themselves slouching, head goes forward, shoulders go in. And if you spend a lot of time in that position, that's the twig being bent, okay? So grows the tree as your body tends to stay in that position, and it becomes your normal. And unfortunately, that's not an ideal position. And normal and ideal, or common and ideal, are very different things. Ideal is always ideal. So we're going to look over the next three parts here at how to get you back closer to ideal. We're going to focus on head and neck in one episode. We're going to focus on shoulders and upper back in this episode. And we'll focus on hips and low back in another episode as well. Those are the three common areas that affect most of our body and are the areas that most of us have to deal with. Why does this matter? Let's take a look. First thing I want you to do is I want you to follow along with me, and let's all give ourselves really crummy upper body posture. And the way we do that is we're going to go ahead and let our shoulders round forward, let our upper back round, let our head drop forward, like we've been sitting at a desk for 40 hours, nonstop. From this position, I want you to do a front raise and to see how it feels. Okay, the look on my face tells you that it does not feel very good to me. Then we're going to do a side raise from that crappy posture, see how high you can go and how it feels. Again, kind of hurts a little bit. We run into some obstructions. It's not how we were designed to be. So I'm going to help you get to closer of where we were designed to be. And we're going to find good upper body posture. So follow me. Hands together. Bottom of a bench press. High five. Lat pull down. Don't move anything except straighten your arms. You're now in good posture. From that good posture position, let's go ahead and do a front raise. Notice I'm not making that ugly look because it doesn't hurt. My arms went up higher. Keep that good posture. Let's do a side raise. Same thing, way higher, no obstructions. So posture matters, position matters. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to reset today, shoulders and upper back, to get everything where it needs to be. It's a lot less wear and tear on your rotator cuff. Now, when we're in these bad positions, here's what happens. Here's why things start to go south a little bit. A muscle that's in a chronically shortened position tends to want to stay there. Gets kind of sticky in that position. And because it's in a shortened position, it's always on a little bit. Okay, it reminds me of a knock-knock joke. Knock-knock. Interrupting cow. Moo. So these muscles that are chronically on, let that sink in for a moment. That's actually a really funny knock-knock joke. These muscles that are in this chronic short position are like the interrupting cow. They're firing when they shouldn't. They're kind of always on, and they become a problem. Because of them always being on, in this case, we have a functional muscle that does something the opposite of that muscle that's always on. If one's always on, guess what's happening to the other one? It's kind of always off, and it's not working real well. So we've got these muscles that are shortened and tight. We've got other muscles that are lengthened and weak. And then the whole mess together is not working really well and accelerates wear and tear, pain and discomfort, or at the very least, a lack of ideal performance in the body. So we're going to reset that today. So what are those muscles that are chronically on? Well, you can imagine if I'm in this position here, my pectoralis are in a shortened position. They're sort of always on. My internal rotators, a lat muscle is actually an internal rotator because it attaches to the front of the humerus. And so when that gets short, it can actually accelerate that internal rotation. Upper traps also tend to get tight. Right? You're running around like this, like somebody scared you all the time. So those muscles will tend to fire inappropriately and be overactive. Then we have the muscles that do the opposite motions, muscles that retract the scapula, muscles that depress the scapula. Those muscles tend to be weak. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to relax these. We can do it a couple of ways. We can foam roll, or we can static stretch, or you can do both. Okay? The choice is yours. Then we need to strengthen those muscles that are lengthened and weakened. And lastly, we're going to teach the brain how everybody's supposed to work together to hopefully hold it in place. So here we go. First thing we're going to do is we're going to foam roll the thoracic spine. So my thoracic spine goes from top of the shoulder blades, not my cervical spine, down to about mid-back, below the bottom of my shoulder blades. That's the area that we're running in, not the whole back. Not cervical and neck, and not lumbar lower spine, just in that medium region. Then we're going to roll the lats as well. So those are two areas we're going to roll. I'm going to have a seat. I'm going to place the roller. I'm going to reset this. I'm going to place this in my low back or mid-back area. Hands behind my head for support. I'm going to look straight up at the ceiling. I don't need to look out here, nothing's happening. Literally nothing. I'll be looking straight up at the sky, face follows sternum. Hips up, and I'm going to roll through that thoracic spine area to the top of the shoulder blades, to the bottom of the shoulder blades. I can do a couple passes. What we're looking for are those areas that catch your attention. If you've ever had a friend stick a thumb in your trap and you feel that knot, same thing happens throughout the body. We're looking for those kind of little knot areas. And when you find one, stay put on it till you feel the pain level drop a lot, or you actually feel it sort of dissipate and release. One or two of those, you're good. Then we're going to do a couple passes with the elbows pulled together in front of my face. That'll let my scapula spread out and let me get a little bit deeper into my rhomboids. So a quick pass or two that way. Ooh, that feels good. And then, here's the big one. You're going to love this. You get to the bottom of that thoracic spine. You're going to drop your butt to the floor. And I want you to bend the thoracic spine over that roller and try to touch the floor with your elbows. Get a nice stretch. Crunch it up. Bring it back up. And we're going to go a little bit lower on the roller. I'm sorry, I let the roller go a little higher on your spine, just a smidge. Drop the hips again. Do another stretch. And we can do that 2 to 3 areas. From this position now, we're going to go ahead and roll the lat. Bottom leg straight. Heel, knee, hip, shoulder, all the way through my arm. Top leg is in front of me for support and to help push me. I'm going to start in my armpit. I'm going to roll a little forward. I'm going to roll a little backwards, see what I find. If everything's good, I'm going to slowly slide myself up over the roller as the roller works its way down to about the bottom of the shoulder blade. I don't want to roll all the way down my rib cage. I'm going to run into some floating ribs that are not well anchored, not well supported, and they can have a lot of movement, so don't put all that weight on it, just about the bottom of the shoulder blade. And in fact, as you get to that bottom of the shoulder blade, you've got a lat attachment there. Roll backwards just a smidge. You'll get right in there. It'll probably get your attention pretty well. So just to that point, again, we're exploring a little forward, a little backwards, 1 or 2 big spots. That'll help things get much better. All right, we're done with our foam rolling portion now. What we're going to do, now that I've got things loosened up in the thoracic spine, I've got a little bit better mobility going, we're going to help get the scapula or shoulder blades to start moving better on that thoracic spine. So we're going to do something called a reach, roll, and a lift. I'm going to sit my butt down on my heels, as close to that as I can get. I am not the world's most flexible person. I'm old and unbeaten, so please, no rude comments in the comment section for me. From here, knife edge of my hands, I'm going to roll out. Try to keep my body as flat as possible. Try to keep my butt as close to my heels as I can. Roll as far as I can, and when I have, I'm going to lift. I'm going to lift, and I'm going to bring it back in. And we're going to repeat that up to 5 times. So reach, roll, lift, lift. Last thing we're going to do is we're going to get a little bit more thoracic rotation work. I'm going to take one hand, put it on the roller. Same thing, try to get my butt down onto my heels. I'm going to reach and roll as far as I can, get as flat as I can. One hand behind my head, and I'm going to add thoracic rotation. As high as I can go. 5 or 6 times each side. Last thing we're going to focus on is our pecs. We're going to add a static stretch to that. What I can do, Trying to see how much space I have in the screen here. I can anchor my arm against the wall, wherever that may be. As my forearm is anchored against the wall, I can take a step forward and then rotate away from the arm and the wall. That'll get a nice stretch on my pectoralis. I can do it from a straight arm as well. This is a little bit easier on the shoulder. It's less distance away to have to stabilize. I also want to make sure that that shoulder doesn't ride up. So just take a step away, rotate away, and you can also play different directions as to where you anchor the arm to stretch the pec. When we do our static stretches, we're looking for 20, 30 seconds most per stretch, per side, and you can do that up to 2 times if you'd like to. Now that we've got things lengthened, it's time to strengthen. So what we're going to do now for our strengthening is some specific stuff for the upper mid-back. Trying to think what tools I have available here. We can do Ys, we can do Ts, and we can do cobras. If you've not really ever done this before, I guarantee you no weight is probably enough weight. If you want to add weight, 5 pounds for me is getting kind of heavy. And if I'm really trying to work the muscle, I'm up to 10 pounds maybe per arm, but that's pushing it. You do not need much weight with this. What I'm going to do, from a standing position, I'm going to get my hips back, nice flat back, and from here I'm going to go into a Y. So a Y is not an I, it's not a T, it's in between those two, okay? A Y. It's actually referred to as the scapular position. It's how your scapula sits on your rib cage. So from here, nice and flat, I'm going to do some Ys. I can do up to 15 reps of that, nice and slow, do a 2-second hold, and I can do Ts. I'm going to keep my palms forward, and I'm going to come up to the side. What I want to make sure I'm doing is pinching my shoulder blades together. Okay? It's not about how high I go. If you try to go too high, you're going to end up arching your back and lifting. It's not about that. It's all about what's happening between the shoulder blades. Ys and Ts. If you want to add a little resistance to that, you certainly can. But like I said, it ain't going to take much. Okay? Cobras, if we were doing that standing. Cobra is a combination of in front of you, and we go into external rotation, bringing the shoulder blades together, and then down. So if I was up here, I'm externally rotating, shoulder blades back, and shoulder blades depressing. Okay, so we're doing retraction, depression together. From this position, would look like that. I can do them on the floor as well. Again, it's not about how high you go, it's about what's happening between the shoulder blades. Notice I don't lift the torso. 12 to 15 reps, nice and slow. 2-second pause in the contracted position, probably do you well. Now, we've got everybody working. It's time to teach them how to play nice. What I'm going to do is a row with retraction. I've got my tubing and I'm using my TRX door strap on this. I'm going to row back, and as I do, make sure that my shoulder blades slide backwards on my rib cage. Think of pulling with the elbow. Think of the wrists as a hook. So why I say that is a lot of times when people pull with the hands is they bicep it too much, they come high. I want to pull the elbows and let the wrist follow. I can do it close to my body. I can go a little bit outside of that, all the way to where I'm like bottom of a bench press position with my elbows farther away from the body. It's all fair game. Work them in different angles. So there you have it. We identified the poor posture. We lengthened and relaxed the muscles that were short. We strengthened the muscles that were lengthened and weak. And then we told the body how they're supposed to work together. That's our plan. Quick and easy to do. Next week, what we're going to be focusing on is hips and low back. I hope you found this useful. Please feel free to put any comments or suggestions in the little box below. And thanks for spending your morning with me.